Good evening. Welcome to the premiere of Dance to the Rescue. My name is Nery Fragoso, former New York City Department of Education Director of Dance and currently the acting director of the Arnhold Graduate Dance Education Program at Hunter College. In March 2020, New York City public schools closed. It was the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Little did we know back then what was ahead of us. But dance educators across the city were certain about one thing. We had to make sure our dance students could continue dancing from home. And we got to work immediately. We researched ways to teach dance remotely. We learned about the most engaging online platforms that could support dance instruction authentically. We participated in training around blended learning, learned how to use digital resources, and most important of all, we reflected on what were the social, emotional, physical, and creative needs of our students and how dance instruction could support their growth throughout the difficult months ahead. The 30-minute film you are about to see is a compilation of recorded dance projects and interviews that tell the story of how dance and dance education came to the rescue of thousands of children in New York City public schools during this historical time. I would like to invite you to stay after the streaming of Dance to the Rescue for a panel with advocate and producer Jody Arnhold, Nell Shelby, director of the film, dance educators Iris Wilson and Clara Bello, and Sandra Stratton Gonzalez, coordinator of dance programs from the Office of Arts and Special Projects. See you after the film. Enjoy. March of 2020 was a very challenging month.
In March 2020,
I'm sure we all remember it well when our New York City public schools were shut down.
A huge time of change, and our educators were adjusting for new schedules.
I've never taught online dance classes before, and the most challenging part of it is how much time everything takes.
And parents are very stressed out. So this is not a typical situation to do.
The pandemic has actually brought me something good, because I don't think if it was for that.
Do you plan classes differently when implementing them online? Absolutely. That's a great question.
The pivot, that word.
In March 2020, a pandemic disrupted life for families across the nation. In New York City, schools were closed abruptly and indefinitely in quick response to the surging number of infections, hospitalizations, and deaths associated with COVID-19. Teachers were forced to work and teach from home. Students were required to show up for school on screen. For thousands of students, dance came to the rescue. New York City is unique in its commitment to incorporating dance as part of the public school curriculum. There are currently 465 dance teachers citywide teaching dance classes during regular school hours, not as electives, but as an integrated component of whole child learning. The city's dance programs are guided by the Blueprint for Teaching and Learning in Dance, a rich and creative framework for curriculum that emphasize sequential and comprehensive dance instruction at all grade levels. But dance at its core is a gathering together of bodies in time and space. How would dance instruction work in this new online environment? How would teachers adapt? How would students react?
Balança na cadeira. Começamos em cadeira, balança.
There were several challenges from the outset. Teachers, families, and school officials were uncertain how long their students would be learning from a distance. The gravity of the situation was unclear. Digital access was a challenge. Wireless internet, technology, and access devices at home were required for students to participate in class online. while the New York City Department of Education worked tirelessly to provide resources to students and families, gaps still existed. There was an immediate need for new training for teachers. Educators were thrown into the unknown, and someone had to provide training on new technical applications for education, or how to navigate best-fit platforms for different curricula. And how would teachers keep their students engaged? Online learning was a new phenomenon for all of their students, and the world at large was distraught and distracted, going through upheavals at work and at home. How do you hold the attention of a 10-year-old through a video screen?
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7. Remember, keep your hands up.
I would say that a major challenge at the beginning of this COVID-19 pandemic was uncertainty. We didn't really know. We didn't know how serious this was. We didn't know how long our schools were going to stay closed. We didn't know what kind of decisions we needed to make. It was very hard to understand the overall situation and what was going to be the best decisions in order to serve our students and our families.
It's been difficult to engage children remotely, and our dance educators have been particularly creative in finding ways to bring children and young adults into the virtual classroom and also to keep them there.
When we went remote in March 2020, I immediately understood that my job had become really narrowed down to really just two goals. The first goal was to get kids moving their bodies as much as they can. You know, some kids have a bedroom that's all their own, a lot of kids don't. A lot of kids are working at the kitchen table with another sibling who's also working. And then my second goal was to make them smile, to create a positive social-emotional environment for just that little bit of time every day.
Well, dancers are extremely adaptive and determined people. They are often tasked with solving problems that many people would consider impossible. So we were well positioned to pivot, to figure out ways to make remote learning in dance work.
Hi friends, it's Miss Doherty here. I miss you all so much and I wish we were dancing together in my really big dance classroom. But for now we'll have to dance together through here. So I know you're at home and I thought that it would be really fun if we could do our dance warm-up at home together.
This is your intro to salsa. So let's start out with the basics. So you understand how to get yourself in a center of gravity. Finding center of gravity is being grounded to the ground. So that means I'm softening my knees. So this is a straight knee.
After all the schools closed in March, in April, we began to see a huge drop in the participation of our students. Students were feeling isolated, they were feeling sad, insecure. They didn't understand what was going on, and it was really very difficult for our dance educators to reach out to them. And sometimes the Zoom will look completely black. No one student will even connect their cameras. Dance educators had to begin to understand what was going on in the social emotional learning of the students, and also be creative in finding new ways to engage them.
The not wanting to show their faces, not wanting to turn on the cameras is right there an impact on how they're coping and what they're doing, not wanting to speak up. The students that were doing really well in person were struggling online. And then students that weren't coming in person for whatever reason, even though they were supposed to come, they were doing great online. So I had this like 50-50. So it's like it's a challenge and a success, I guess.
We're in my kitchen, as you can see. All right, so here we are. You start with your right arm going down, flick, flick, drop.
You have to make sure you're in a room where you have very strong internet connection, or as strong as it can be. Otherwise, everything's going to stop for you and you're going to be like, what are we doing? Why? What is happening? I'm very confused. Another thing is that this can sometimes be hard, but trying to get as much space as you can. Say you're going to do your dance in your bedroom, you want to make sure that stuff is off the floor and you have as much open space as you can.
It's a little bit hard to be focused. So I did a little meditation first to get my mind ready, to feel the music while I'm dancing.
Technology was obviously the best way to reach out our students at home, but many of our families, they don't have the resources to have computers or iPhones or Wi-Fi at home. So the problem was that we realized that there was a huge inequality in the way that our students and the families had these digital resources at home or didn't. The Department of Education began to work on incredible strategies to be able to provide as many computers, iPads, digital devices to all our families. But it was not enough. So we still had to deal with a lot of inequities between the resources that some of our students were lacking and some of our students were able to have for their instruction. And then also in terms of technology, another challenge was to train our teachers. Some of our younger teachers are very versed in the use of technology and technological applications for dance education, but not all of them had been trained on those applications. So we had to develop immediately professional development opportunities for our dance educators to begin to get the skills that they needed to be successful at teaching dance remotely.
Otra emoción. Son figuras ahora en movimiento.
Although teachers and students are still struggling, dance classes have offered connection and hope. Remote dance instruction is possible using the right technologies and tools, and New York City's teachers and students were quick to adapt, learning to use chat, breakout rooms, emojis, and other images and tools to communicate feelings in class. Virtual dance classes still create opportunities for students to get up, move, and connect with their classmates, even if spaces are often small and shared with family members, or classes have been shortened to accommodate shifting schedules.
First thing that I think about when I think about virtual learning and virtual life is connection. The second thing I think about is student engagement. And so when students are learning on the other side of a computer screen, there are so many more questions that a teacher has to ask in terms of when they start their planning that have to do with how we're going to keep the students engaged in whatever activity we're doing. As it relates to dance, I think about engagement being something that's intrinsically coming from the students, right? So a lot of the dances that the students were doing for the performance, for example, were things they had to do independently of the teacher and of their classmates. And so it not only involved a level of student engagement, but it was a self-motivation, right? To be part of something that they didn't necessarily know what it was going to look like.
One very interesting discovery about remote dance learning is that my students who were previously very introverted and risk-averse in the dance studio were very comfortable in their own environments, and I saw them come to life. They were sharing, they were engaging in full-bodied movement and exploration. And so this is a discovery that I've made and I've heard echoed from other dance educators.
I really liked how in the beginning of quarantine, we made a bunch of dances, and then they would be put together into one longer video, or they were all on Flipgrid. So So it was nice seeing what other people were doing, because that reminded me of when we were in school and we were doing our Merce Cunningham dances or movement sentences from when we were little, because we would always watch each other's dances. If it was in a larger video where many people's dances were put together, I thought that was interesting, and I just thought it was nice being able to see other people's work.
I was really truly surprised when I began to see how many of our dance educators were coming out with all these creative ways of engaging their students from their homes to their homes.
I would create 30-minute dance breaks for my students. The idea behind this concept was to get children up and moving, to recharge their brains, to recharge their bodies, to rejuvenate their spirits, and get them from in front of the computer, just sitting there, looking at a computer screen, doing work, academic. No, they needed to be up, they needed to be moving.
Happy to have this chance to talk about the role of dance for our family during COVID-19. In particular, it was a way to get the kids moving around when we were stuck in the house for so long. And it was great for them to see Miss Swan, who they love so much, to do their regular warm-ups from class, and to move their bodies and get out some of their endless energy.
Well, when I learn new dances, I kind of don't get it much, but I practice when class is over. I just practice it, and then next time I feel I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I know you practice. It's great. I can see it because you come back and you already know what's going on, and you also watch the videos that I post up. So that's great because it gets you to understand the material better, right? So when you come to class, you know what's going on and you're not lost.
So every year, I do the Nutcracker Ballet. It's been a staple in the PS9 community for the past 7 years. Grades 2 through 5th participate, and the parents come out, the community comes out, and it's just a wonderful event. So this year, returning, I said, I have to make something special happen for these children. So I came up with the concept of doing a virtual Nutcracker Ballet. I had some wonderful parent volunteers, editors, filmmakers, videographers. They came together as my team, and we worked together, and we worked very well, and we put together the virtual Nutcracker Ballet. We modeled the hybrid that the DOE put out for reopening schools. So I had blended students, and they came on our playground, and the videographer was able to record them on the playground. And then I had parents record their students or their children at home.
This winter, when Ms. Wilson coordinated the annual Nutcracker, but virtually for our school, we were able to see a connection in terms of the lives of our students and the expression, the emotions, the excitement, the life that they bring to a school, and it's captured in the form of art, which is dance. So I would love to support not just dance, but all the arts, so that students are excited to come to school and excited to create, and know that there are many ways to contribute to the school, to the society that we live in. And I think we need to make sure that we allow that to happen in schools, that we promote that we encourage that until that becomes the norm.
Can you tell me, you also participated in Black is Beautiful and the Break the Chain flash mob. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
I learned this dance last year. It was just a little review. I just do a little review, and then it was amazing. To do the video and everything, it was also inspiring, and I was proud to be able to be in it, because it was like a proud moment. While I'm dancing, I feel joy. I feel the power coming through me.
Dance persists in supporting a student's social-emotional learning. As the length of school closures increased, generosity blossomed across the dance industry. Professional organizations and performing arts presenters gifted classes with master artists and access to performance videos in support of young students. Educational institutions pivoted to offer professional learning experiences for teachers online. New York City Department of Education's Office of Arts and Special Projects adapted their professional development offerings to fit more easily in teachers' schedules, planning shorter workshops instead of day-long intensives. They provided technology tools for remote instruction like earbuds, tripods, wide-angle lenses to help educators teach effectively from home. Teachers nationwide found it difficult to engage the students remotely. The arts can play a crucial role in sustaining and encouraging students' curiosity and interest for learning. Through dance, students continue to engage in the artistic process from home, creating, responding, performing, and making meaning.
It's true we are blind to the things that are given to us, but all of a sudden it's 2020 when they're taken away. I hope one thing, if any, will be clear at the finish line. It's us, not I. Let that make the future as sweet as a key lime pie.
When students leave school, especially elementary school, they're going to remember the culminating events that and the moments that we create for them outside of the academic, classroom, outside of the academics, outside of the traditional way of doing things. They're going to remember the moments that we gave them to create.
If you go into almost any elementary school and you ask children what their favorite part of going to school is, the vast majority say recess, right? The time that they get to play with each other. And the physicalization of that. Recess is the time when they get up on their feet and they move. And they run and they jump and express joy. And dance allows for that. Dance embraces that. Dance is not asking the children to sit down again and be quiet again and not to move. Dance is encouraging movement and the connection to ourself and others that comes through being a mover.
Creative projects like Dance Connects encourage young minds to develop an appreciation of ambiguity and uncertainty. They allow students to understand and cope with the unusual situation they're facing and what is yet to come.
One of the silver linings of this situation is that our dance educators and their students have found new ways of sharing dance, creating dance together, performing dance together. And that's probably not gonna go away. Of course, we miss very much dancing together. Dance is social, it's about the human body, it's about us doing something joyful together. But this situation has brought new skills that we can begin to develop even further and just expand the way we teach dance.
Dance is like a time you take to relax, a time you take away everything. So in dance, so we also communicate together, we come together and be able to be together, even though we're like apart, we are in our homes, but dancing together is like a time for us to be able to be together and celebrate together.
We may never return to normal, and maybe that's a good thing. As dance teachers and as educators, our task will be to preserve creative solutions and new best practices when we return to our classrooms, to acknowledge the inequalities that exist in our communities and call for support, generosity, collaboration, and innovation. We can look to dance to help us. Dance, as an art form, encourages a natural sense of play and exploration. It requires students and teachers to improvise. It rewards flexibility and affirms diverse points of view. Dance lifts spirits and brings joy. And most of all, dance encourages connection and a sense of unity among students. Dance cannot possibly overcome all the limitations and challenges of remote learning. But to invite dance into our schools, to really embrace the art form as a core subject, is to cultivate empathy, creativity, mindfulness, kindness, and inclusivity. Dance is an expression of our humanness. It allows us to connect, feel, celebrate, and share with each other. So dance has come to the rescue during a time of isolation and loneliness, bringing joy and a sense of belonging to thousands of New York City students.
Welcome to the panel discussion of Dance to the Rescue. I hope you all enjoy the film, learn a little more about the remote dance instruction, and have lots of questions for us. My name is Nery Fragoso, former New York City Department of Education Director of Dance, and currently the acting director of the Arnhold Graduate Dance Education Program at Hunter College. I will be the moderator of our discussion tonight. This panel is being recorded, so please feel free to keep your camera off if you don't want to appear in the final recording. Make sure you keep your microphones muted during the discussion, and we invite you to write at any time your questions in the chat so we can address them later. Now I would like to introduce our guests tonight. Clara Bello and Iris Wilson.
Hola.
Two of the and Iris. Hi, Iris. They're two of the talented dance educators featured in the film. Also, Patricia Dye. Patricia, Pat? Good. She's a veteran high school dance educator and the narrator voice of the film. Jody Gottfried Arnhold. Where's Jody? Hi, Jody. She's our fearless dance education advocate and Dance to the Rescue producer, Nell Shelby. Nell, director of the film, and Sandra Stratton Gonzalez, New York City DOE Office of Arts and a special project coordinator of the dance programs.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. The first question is for Nell Shelby, director of the film. Nell, hi. Can you share with us what inspired this film and how was the process of creating it? Why is this short film important?
Thank you. So nice when a film is seen by people, you can feel the realness of, it comes to life. So it was nice seeing all of you all in Zoom watching this. So I think many of you might know, but we did create this beautiful film, PS Dance, in 2015. And that we continue to make these films. And I feel like the reason that Jody continues to make these and all of us do it with her is because we are really showing the resilience of dance education and really of dance educators and of dance. And I think that this film is so important because of the resilience. And we're creating a series, like we want to keep showing what dance educators are doing. And I think that this moment in time where the pivot was so incredible was, we don't want to lose that opportunity to show that. So I feel like when you, Anna, reached out to me back in September, and we were so grateful that all of you teachers were continuing to document yourselves and record your Zooms and record yourself. I think we then just sort of upped that a bit. And I think we asked, the teachers to maybe talk to the camera and really make sure that they were recording, so that we could be able to tell this story during this time. And I'm glad we did. As we're sort of coming back to life, I think being able to see like what happened during this time is really important, and be able to see that like dance didn't stop. It like just kept going. Dance education kept going. And I definitely want to give a shout out to, well, really Department of Education in general, like Sandy and Anna and Amber, and the fact that Jody gives so much support to this and is our fearless leader. But there was a lot in all these teachers, but there was so much to go through in this film. So I feel like the process was a lot of like digging because there was so much footage there, whether it was like Zoom recordings or talking to their iPhone or whatever it might be. And Caroline Haydet, who is actually on here somewhere, is the assistant director and editor. And she really did a lot of that work of going through everything to be able to tell this story, because we had just a giant G drive. And then Oscar Peñas, who I think is on here, I saw him, is the composer for the film. And so I just want to make sure that they are acknowledged. You saw them in the credits. And so, that's the big reason why we made this. And I hope that everyone will share it. And we continue to make more films. There's going to be another PS Dance film coming out soon. And I think we want to keep educating everyone and making people aware that this is that we can't move on without dance education, and these students and all of our children really need this.
Great, thank you so much, Nell. So Jody, I would like to ask you, how do you think that the experience of remote and blended learning in 2020 and 2021 will impact dance education in the years to come?
And we had to make this movie to show what went on in dance in our schools with our teachers and with our children. We pivoted from one day to the next, no warning, no planning, no strategy. We just did it. And an unusual number of us were very, very good at this. We can handle the technology. We know how to solve problems and do things. And we took it all online. We made the movie because we just had to show this. It was awesome. It was very moving. In the process, everybody has learned so much we have created so much curriculum. And as I say, there's just no going back from this. We learned that we can deliver the content and we can create the community online in the face of a pandemic, of a global pandemic. I'm really very proud of what was accomplished. I'm very proud that we were able to capture it. The goal is dance for every child. It's more important now than ever before. We can connect on screen, we connect off screen, and we really have to celebrate our whole community for what we did, what we achieved. We're never going to be the same. We're going back to the studio, we're going back to the classroom, but we have the technology and we can do this on the screen. It makes us stronger than we've ever been. Actually, the screen gives us a huge reach. I think parents were able to see what we do. Having their children so engaged right in front of their own eyes, I think was invaluable and a real opportunity. We learned, we always learn, we always meet the challenge, and we emerge stronger than ever. I want to thank everyone who was involved in this film and everyone who's involved in working with children, especially with the arts and especially with dance. So thank you, Nell. Thank you for making us such a beautiful film. You made PS Dance, which showed everybody what dance education is. You've made this film which captures what happened, how we handled a disaster, and we have another film in the can, almost ready. Thank you, Nell, for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Jody. Now the next question is for Clara. Clara, it's been a little over a year since we first went remote, and could you tell us a little about some of the lessons learned during this time?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Anna. So it has not been easy, but in hindsight, there were lots of teachable moments for me. I picked 3. The first one, there were many tech lessons for me personally. Now, I'm someone who pushes back when it comes to technology. And this year proved that I don't have to push too hard because tech is there to help. So I was able to kind of ease into the tech. Google Classroom was better, easier to use because of the practice from the previous year. I learned how to Zoom from 2 screens. I perfected conferencing with students in multiple breakout rooms, among other things. And the best part was working with students who also taught me many things. The second lesson, I learned the true value of patience. So technology is an amazing thing, but there are those moments that technology doesn't seem to care that you have a meeting to attend or students that need you. So I had to practice patience, deep breathing, and reminding myself that it was going to be okay. It also practicing patience allowed me to see the bigger picture. While I was pushing for dance, I was also able to see that what was most important was to build community and let students know that I see them and am there for them. And finally, the third lesson was I learned the real meaning of empathy, caring for and about others, and self-care as well. For my students and myself, understanding that physically, mentally, and emotionally, time staring at a screen just was not healthy. To connect with them, I did not need to keep them for long periods of time. It was about making the most of our time together. They knew I was there for them. So sharing dance experiences was what helped strengthen our bond, helped us to connect. And that for me was more important than anything.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Clara. And I can tell that all of those lessons are gonna be moving you forward, when coming back in person, right? We're all super excited of coming back in September in person, of course. Aris, I would like to ask you, how do you connect with your students this past year, and what strategies you feel work best?
Hi, everyone. Before I answer that, oh, wow, what a wonderful film. I just have to say congratulations to everyone who participated in the film. Nell, you rock. That was a great film. Congratulations to the production team. And thank you, Jody and the Arnhold Foundation for producing this. Now, the film for me, it's a true testament of art and how art is uplifting, art is healing, and it is very much paramount for children, for every child to engage in the art in New York City public schools. And as we all know, that children who participate in dance or any form of the arts, they excel in the academic classroom. So we all know that. So dance for every child. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Now, to answer your question, Anna, so what we did, we were directed by the administrators in our school, the cluster teachers, to upload content to the Google Classroom once a week. So if we were in normal times, I would see my students once a week anyway. So the content was uploaded to the Google Classroom, and my students worked on the assignment, and they did asynchronous work. I became inspired by TikTok videos. I didn't use TikTok, but TikTok is the trending thing among young people on social media platforms. And what I noticed, a lot of dance challenges were coming out in TikTok videos. So I took that inspiration and I said, I'm going to create dance challenges for my students each week. And I incorporated them in my unit plan. So for example, I did a unit plan about dances of the African Caribbean islands. And so what we did, we looked at Haiti one week, and I would create a dance challenge based on the folklore in Haiti, or I would create a dance challenge based on the folklore in Trinidad and throughout the Caribbean islands. Students would upload their dances online on the Google Classroom, not everyone, but some of them would. And then I started highlighting each week a shining star. So the shining star would be that student who did the task. They really were on the dance challenge. They performed it well with accuracy, with energy and dynamics. And then that encouraged healthy competition. So other students wanted to become the shining star for that week. So they decided to join. So it encouraged more students to start uploading their video. So I think I won them over each week with the dance challenge. And if I forgot to post the shining star, they would reach out to me and say, Ms. Wilson, who is the shining star for this week? And again, it was healthy competition. And I also was able to interact with them by giving them feedback in the Google chat with them. And that's how we were able to stay connected. And again, the students looked forward every week to learning the new dance challenge. And they would write little notes to me saying that this was fun. What is next week's dance challenge going to be? So they were so eager to learn. And one thing I noticed, students who were not, didn't really participate during, if we were in normal times, they participated in the asynchronous work, and they participated in uploading their videos, and it was a lot of fun. So that opened up a whole new can of worms for me.
Wow, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. The next question is for Pat. Pat, there are many of us who say that teaching over Zoom might be impersonal, Do you agree? Why or why not? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Hi, Anna. Thank you. Great question. I disagree. Again, like anything else, it's what you put on it. If you're going to look for something that's disagreeable, it's going to come that way. As teachers, we're always supposed to inspire our students in any way, constantly. Every day we teach online or offline, it tends to be different. So you have to, dance educators do that. We problem solve, just like what Clara said, just like Iris says, just like Mama Jody said, just like Nell. We are adaptable. We need to know who our audiences are students, and we adjust accordingly. We have to make sure they understand that every day is different. Do what you can and move forward. Give them options. So I disagree with being impersonal. Impersonal is something that you do get from someone, but you don't do to someone. Yeah. As dancers, we're physical beings, and be aware that our energies does set forth a base of understanding for our students. So come in being happy, celebrate. Yes, you did that today. That's not what we're doing tomorrow. Okay, that was interesting. Okay, what do you call that? Give them options. And like Iris says, and Nell says, there's a great deal of students that I felt were more engaged on screen than I had in classroom. So, and the breakout room is a great way to build that relationship, build that community. That's what we're all about. We're such a group of amazing teachers. And what we don't do, we know someone that can help us do it. So don't think that you're always by yourself in the desert. Again, you are the one in charge of that screen. You are the one in charge of what you teach. Be aware of that and always put it forward. Yes, build a community. Students will teach you. Just like Clara says, technology was a challenge, yes? But you ask a kid, what button do I push to change the screen? Why is this? Listen, Ms. Di, take a moment. Push the other button. What button? The one that's blinking. What do you mean it's blinking? Why is it blinking? It's gonna blow up, you know? And put things in place. When things don't work, my students know exactly what to do. They email me, they'll put it in the chat stream. So even though things don't work, they know other ways of connecting to each other and myself. I hope I'm not talking too fast, but really, impersonal, really stick to the positive, people. Forget all that other stuff. You'll be fine. We are dance educators, period. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you so much, Pat. It is true. I mean, we have to be flexible. We have to be like we are improvisers, right? So we just go with the flow and try to figure things out as we go. I would like to remind everybody in our virtual audience to share any questions you might have in the chat, so we can answer them right after. My next question is for Sandy. Sandy, what aspects of teaching dance virtually, asynchronously or synchronously, will dance teachers keep as we move forward?
Thank you, Anna. That's a great question. There's so much we're going to keep. These different virtual platforms and technology tools are going to allow our students to collaborate together within a class, for homework assignments, to allow for students in different classes to collaborate, and allow for schools across communities and even countries to collaborate. I think that there's so much available to us. It allows for our students to do independent work, to do research, and it provides a platform for student self-assessment, for peer assessment, and for teachers to assess student work. And what I believe very strongly is that our ability today to document this work, to write about our work, to share our work, to film our work, is really important, because we are creating new practices to move our field forward. We're incorporating the use of technology, and we want to, how do I say this? We want to take ownership of this work, because it's coming from us. It's coming from the ground up. It's not coming from department chairs. It's not coming from publishers or corporate entities. It's really being developed from the teachers on the ground. And so I think it's important that we share this work with each other, that individually we document our work, so that we build this body of knowledge moving forward and build our agency and independence as educators. And I do just want to add one more piece of information, we could have made a dozen films. We had such a generous outpouring of shared work from our educators. We made one movie, but there were at least a dozen movies that could have been made.
Yes, you're right, Sandy. I was with you throughout the entire process of collecting all these videos from all these teachers, and I was really amazed, proud, and very impressed with all the materials that we received over a few months. And we felt it was really very difficult to actually select some of these clips, some of these films, because they were all so good, and each one of them told a completely different little picture of what this story is. So now we need to move forward. And what I would like to, I was actually wondering if there are any dance educators in the virtual audience tonight willing to share briefly in the chat your most memorable moments with remote learning. So go ahead and write a few notes in the chat if you would like to share those. And I would like to ask Amber, could you share with us if there are any questions that have been added to the chat that we can address?
Yes, we actually have one very, very important question. Someone is asking how they can share this with their school community, and will it be available as a shareable link? So if you want, I can take care of that question.
Absolutely.
We are uploading this to YouTube. So as early as tomorrow, after we download the file, you'll have the YouTube link to view the video and the Q&A. So that's coming up very fast for you all.
Yes, and we want you to share it with as many people as possible. Please, if you're an educator, share them with parents, administration, other teachers. Yes, please share with everyone, Thank you. Any other question, Amber?
No, there's just a lot of positive feedback about the film, and just people really agreeing with what all of the panelists said tonight. There is a comment from Amy Jacobus. She said we need to share with our NYC council members about the budget so they can restore and increase arts education funding. People are thanking you so much for this important work. And so there's a lot of the expression of gratitude right now. But we do encourage questions as well, if you have any questions for anyone before we close tonight.
I was just reading, I know I can find it, but oh yes, I think it's from Mary Jean Cowell. She was saying, Sandy, love your point that so much of the work came from the ground up, from the individual creativity of teachers. And actually, during our conversation, Sandy and I, we were very, very focused on making sure that everything that we share really came from the teachers, from the students, to the audience that we wanted to reach to. So it was very, very important for us that it felt very, very authentic to the practice, the dance instruction that happens every day in our schools.
We do have a message, one from Megan Minturn, some highs and lows. The high was seeing her students express themselves on video and Zooms and on Flipgrid. The lows, not being able to help students in great need. So that was something expressed. And then Lauren Brandt said, how many hours of video did Nell and her team watch when making this film? So we have a range of different comments and questions. And Clara, you have a memorable moment that you'd like to share before we close?
Yes. So this year, I was actually working with 5th grade, and there was one student who was a recent arrival and did not speak English. She was learning English. Her dominant language is Spanish. And she was, I had invited students to my office hours for free dance if they wanted to create dances together just for fun. And and this student came and shared a dance from her home country. And it's like a popular dance. It's a current dance. It's El Baile de los Viejos, the dance of the old people and the elderly. But and she showed it to us on the screen, and it was just people dancing in the ways that they saw, like the elderly moving. And she taught it to me and the student teacher, and we all just recorded ourselves dancing our version of it. And the smile on this student's face, the pride, because she was able to bring something from home, something that she really loved doing. I think I'm never gonna forget that.
And we have some other beautiful words on one of the last messages in the chat. Someone would love to hear from the parents. They are a parent of 2 high schoolers in New York City, and they know how much your teaching has impacted their students. They said, thank you all so much. So that was a really nice message we just received.
Wonderful. I think, one of the things I thought when receiving all these videos from our colleagues was that the silver lining of all of this was that we were actually able to record, to document on video on a regular basis the work that our students were doing, which really didn't quite happen before, but now we have gotten really good at it. So I would really encourage our dance educators to continue documenting the work of our students, because there is nothing like being able to see over and over again and to really review the work of our students using recording. I think it's like a wonderful and very effective tool for assessment. Now, I know that many of us would like to continue this discussion, all night, but we need to be respectful of everyone's time. And I want to thank our guests for joining us tonight to share their knowledge, experience, and passion for dance education. And thank you all of you, for participating in this important discussion. Please join us in social media to support our movement, Dance for Every Child. We would love to hear from you. Before we go, I would like to invite Jody Arnhold to send us off some inspiring words. Jody?
Oh, thank you, Anna. Thanks all of you. Really, I think this is a moment for dance for every child. We're kind of at a pivotal point. We know what it takes. We need a certified dance educator in every school. This is a matter of equity. We need every school to have cultural partner. It's a matter of equity. We need materials and resources for every school. We need theaters, we need studios. And we need a plan so that this goes forward forever. It's just too important to not pay attention right now at this moment. Also, I must say, we have created so much incredible material in the last year. Certified educators have put it out there. Cultural organizations have put it out there. We have so much. Our library has grown, and we are willing to share it. So thank you, everybody. The arts are so important, more important now than ever. We are educating for democracy, and we can't do that without the arts. And we especially can't do that without dance. Thank you, everyone.